My colleague's flat chest grew to a C cup within a week. I advised her to go to the hospital for a scan, and the results showed that she had 2 tumors growing inside, which were still getting larger. Wang Ying, you really should get surgery to have them removed. If this continues, the tumors might spread and put your life at risk. With my persuasion and that of our other colleagues, she finally underwent the surgery, but later, she found out that her crush was into girls with big breasts. Luo Xin, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, he would have been with me long ago. She then started a fight with me in the office. I accidentally slipped, fell to the floor, and hit my head on my desk, dying on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my colleague went from an A to a C. Xin, don't you think my figure has improved? I smiled and said, yeah, and it can get even better. Other colleagues noticed too. Wang Ying, did you secretly get breast augmentation behind our backs? This is totally a different size from before. Wang Ying puffed out her chest and replied proudly, how is that possible? Have you ever seen me ask for time off? Her colleagues grew even more envious. Have you been eating something lately, papaya or milk? Wang Ying flicked her hair back, radiating confidence. No, I guess the heavens caught sight of my beauty and decided to gift me a belated great figure. I naturally joined the conversation. I know a great bra for larger busts. You should totally get one in this life. I kept silent and simply joined their conversation about breast enhancement. I didn't bring up the matter of taking Wang Ying to the hospital again. Just 1 week later, Wang Ying's breasts had grown a bit larger again. So annoying, the bra I just bought last week doesn't fit anymore. I have to get a new one. Her conspicuously humble brag remarks sparked collective outrage in Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei. The two of them simultaneously launched a tickle attack on her armpits. Just then, Ji Yan twitched her nose. What's that smell? Why does it stink? She covered her nose. Immediately after, Zhang Xiaowei also wrinkled her nose and covered it. Is someone fixing the sewer pipes outside? Wang Ying took a deep breath and asked, did you guys secretly fart? Everyone shook their heads. Just as they were wondering where the stench was coming from, Wang Ying's expression changed, and she said apologetically, I need to go to the restroom. After saying that, she grabbed her bag and hurried out. The stench dissipated along with her departure. The three of us exchanged strange looks. Zhang Xiaowei was the first to speak. Maybe Wang Ying ate something bad. Ji Yan agreed, probably, but this smells way too bad. 5 minutes later, Wang Ying returned, accompanied by a strong scent of perfume. Ji Yan was very sensitive to smells. The moment Wang Ying walked in, she quickly covered her nose. Wang Ying, why did you suddenly put on perfume, and so much of it? Achoo. Wang Ying gave an awkward smile and stammered, this is my new perfume, I was just trying it out. Is it really that much? Is the scent too strong? Sorry, I've been having some stomach issues lately, so I sprayed some perfume to cover it up. Zhang Xiaowei caught the scent as well and immediately frowned, a mix of perfume and a hint of sewer smell. Wang Ying, why does your fart smell different from everyone else's? Wang Ying didn't respond. She shrank into her seat, pretending not to hear, though her expression darkened. I glanced at her worried face and naturally knew why she had sprayed so much perfume, and of course, I knew that the sewer smell wasn't from Wang Ying's fart at all. In her previous life, Wang Ying took my advice and went to the hospital for a scan. She found out on the spot that she had a tumor. The doctor also told her that if she didn't have surgery, the tumor would fester and drain pus. Wang Ying couldn't bear the thought, so she didn't schedule the operation. After about a week, pus with a faint foul odor really began to ooze from her body. Roughly calculating the timing, it was about now. Actually, knowing what she was about to say, I interrupted her. Oh, by the way, Wang Ying, when I was having a late-night snack with a friend yesterday, I saw a girl asking Yan Xing for his WeChat. Wang Ying's attention was quickly drawn by my words, and then, did he add her? Yan Xing is the object of her secret crush. He works as a supervisor in another department of the company, standing over 8 meters tall with a well-proportioned figure. He does carry a certain aura when he's not speaking. 2 months ago, during the company team-building event, Wang Ying fell for Yan Xing at first sight. She tried to strike up a conversation once, but Yan Xing ignored her. I heard Yan Xing say he likes a good physique, so he turned that girl down. I see. Wang Ying subconsciously looked down and became lost in thought. I saw her hesitant expression gradually firm up, so I turned back to my own work. In fact, I definitely didn't touch Yan Xing last night, and what I mentioned didn't happen either. Yan Xing liked girls with big breasts, which I only learned from Wang Ying right before I died in my previous life. Wang Ying's had grown a lot again. She looked to be at least a C cup. Her full, plump cleavage seemed to have no end. Many male colleagues in the company stared openly at Wang Ying's great figure, but Wang Ying sprayed more and more perfume, and the overwhelmingly thick scent drove Ji Yan up the wall every single day. Wang Ying, could you please stop using so much perfume? The whole office reeks of it, and it's making me sick. Ji Yan, with 2 tissues stuffed up her nostrils, was absolutely furious. Zhang Xiaowei was also on the verge of losing it. Yeah, Wang Ying, it's unbearable for everyone like this. Xin, don't you agree? I lifted my face, still wearing a mask, enduring the strong smell of perfume. Or next time, try a different perfume and spray less of it, one kind a day so we can get used to the scent gradually. Seeing that I supported her wearing perfume, Wang Ying's hesitant expression turned confident again. Xin gets me. You guys aren't just picking on me because my figure's improved, are you? I'll just switch to a different perfume tomorrow. This one's not even strong. Maybe it's your noses that have the problem. She snorted and sat back down in her seat. Ji Yan, seeing me speak up for Wang Ying, shot me a dirty look. Zhang Xiaowei walked straight out of the office and came back wearing a mask as well. A few days later, it was time for the company's monthly team-building event. Wang Ying deliberately dressed in a very mature style. In previous team-building events, she always wore the most ordinary clothes and went without any makeup. This time, Wang Ying put on her newly bought dress, pressing her cleavage into a particularly full shape. Her face was also meticulously made up. This team-building event took place at a barbecue restaurant. Halfway through, I went to the restroom, and when I walked out, I saw Yan Xing smoking and chatting with 2 male colleagues, one thin and one fat. The smoky area was extremely pungent. Yan Xing didn't recognize me. He gave me a cold glance. His eyes swept over my entire body, paying particular attention to certain areas, then casually looked away. I frowned but suppressed the feeling of disgust. Then I heard the skinny guy say to the 2 of them, last time, I saw a busty woman in the next apartment. I hadn't seen her before, so I thought she was a client or something, but just now, I realized she actually works for the same company as us. Did you guys see her? The fat guy took a deep drag, his gaze both dreamy and lecherous. Yeah, I saw her. Her name is Wang Ying. I even asked around about her, thinking of adding her on WeChat for a chat. That bitch actually gave me a dirty look, thinking everyone sees her as some hot commodity. Her lucky day if I'm even interested, you gotta admit. Her figure though. The 3 of them chatted openly in the hallway about Wang Ying's body. I couldn't listen anymore. Just as I was about to walk away quickly, I heard Yan Xing speak up. I remember her. Her name is Wang Ying. She tried to hit on me before, but I ignored her. I never thought she'd be so stacked. Guys, what do you think? Should I go for it? Lecherous snickers echoed through the hallway. When I returned to my seat, Wang Ying's cheeks had already turned pink, and her eyes looked somewhat dazed. She had been drinking, and quite a lot, it seemed. Usually, she was barely noticeable, but at this team-building event, quite a few senior male executives came to toast her. When she was toasted for the 8th time, Wang Ying looked up, and her impatient gaze instantly transformed into shyness. It was Yan Xing. A warm smile lingered at the corners of his lips. Wang Ying, right? I've heard about you from old Zhang. Down to earth and hardworking. A lot of girls these days look for shortcuts, but I think you're very different. I really appreciate girls like you. Can I have your WeChat? We can chat about work from time to time. Wang Ying hurriedly drank the wine in her glass and, overjoyed, took out her phone. She successfully added Yan Xing on WeChat. The pink flush on her face deepened to red, and she spoke in a clipped, affected tone. Then I'll trouble you with it, Supervisor Yan. Yan Xing smiled faintly, chatted with Wang Ying for a few more moments, then left. I watched the scene before me with a smile. Zhang Xiaowei glanced in my direction, then looked away in disgust. Xin, what are you looking at? I'm looking at my bright future. Zhang Xiaowei thought I had drunk too much and simply stopped talking to me. I didn't take it seriously. Now that I knew Yan Xing wasn't a good person, I felt relieved. My colleague's chest gets bigger every day. It might have reached a D cup, or even more. Every day when she walks, the 2 orbs hanging in front of her sway all over the place. More and more male colleagues and male passers-by keep glancing at her. There are also many people trying to strike up a conversation. Yan Xing is very infatuated with her, and now he picks up and drops off Wang Ying every day when she goes to and from work. She is also immersed in happiness, unable to extricate herself. Only those of us in the office are left to suffer. Ji Yan even created a group chat, excluding Wang Ying from it. I didn't expect that the usual dorm room antics from my school days would continue even after starting work. Ji Yan, I can hardly take it anymore. Lately, every time I enter the office, I physically start dry heaving. Zhang Xiaowei, Wang Ying is getting bigger and bigger, and her farts are getting smellier too. Her whole body has this mixed odor of sewer and perfume. Ji Yan, why don't we ask Wang Ying to see a doctor? Zhang Xiaowei, Xin. You have a better relationship with Wang Ying than we do, you should talk to her. No one can stand it if this continues. In my previous life, I persuaded Wang Ying to go to the hospital and get an X-ray. Even after the scan, she was still reluctant to have it removed. Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei didn't care at first, until the smell and the scent of perfume gradually grew stronger. They had me persuade Wang Ying to undergo surgery, just like now, occasionally chiming in with a few words from the sidelines. After Wang Ying had the surgery, she got into a fight with me over the fact that Yan Xing liked women with big breasts. I even asked both of them for help. Ji Yan said, "It's a good thing that Wang Ying can grow bigger. Why did you have to persuade her to get surgery? Now she can never be with Yan Xing. It's no wonder she hit you." Zhang Xiaowei watched coldly from the sidelines and said indifferently, "You're not trying to drag us into this, are you? You're the one who made Wang Ying get the surgery. It has nothing to do with us." They were the ones who said Wang Ying had a strong odor and told me to persuade her. Later, when conflicts arose, they were also the ones who stood by and did nothing. This time, let's see who loses their composure first. Replied in the group chat, "Don't you think Wang Ying has a lot of character now? Even if there's a bit of a smell, she's still a delight to the eyes." Ji Yan, "But it really stinks, and what does her having class have to do with us?" Zhang Xiaowei, Luo Xin, "Are you sick? Did your nose stop working? Or did Wang Ying brainwash you? Don't you think her farts really stink? It smells like something rotten. I'm someone who has already died once. Why would I care about a few harmless insults like this? Me, it's okay, I'm used to it by now." Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei were completely speechless, and they isolated both me and Wang Ying in the office. I still stand by what I said, having died once already, why would I care about such half-hearted workplace bullying? But soon enough, Ji Yan couldn't take it anymore. On an ordinary morning, she erupted. A muffled burst erupted from behind 3 layers of face masks. "Wang Ying, can you stop spraying perfume already? Do you bathe in it every day? And why do you keep farting? Can't you go see a doctor? It stinks so bad." Zhang Xiaowei quickly chimed in as well. "Wang Ying, Ji Yan has a point. Maybe you should see a doctor. Passing smelly gas every minute of every day isn't just a minor digestive issue anymore. You'd better get it checked out." Wang Ying's expression changed instantly. In fact, just last week, she had already seen a doctor because the smell was unbearable and a pale yellow pus-like fluid kept oozing from the steamed bun. The doctor's words made her turn pale, but Yan Xing just loved her big breasts. What could she do? Between health and love, Wang Ying hesitated. Hearing what Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei said, she began to waver again. In her previous life, before Wang Ying underwent surgery, she asked me to accompany her because she was scared. I naturally knew what the doctor had said. Seeing Wang Ying's expression now, I knew she had already been to the doctor, and it seemed she might actually be considering having the surgery. How could that be allowed? I immediately chimed in. "Wang Ying, if you're scared, you could ask Yan Xing to go with you. He loves you so much. I'm sure he'd be willing, and with your great figure now, are you still afraid Yan Xing might look down on you?" Yan Xing was never truly in love with Wang Ying. He only loved her big breasts. Wang Ying naturally knew this as well. She understood in an instant. If she had the surgery and ended up as unremarkably flat-chested as before, Yan Xing would surely abandon her. How could she let that happen? Her gaze grew resolute. "Actually, I've already seen a doctor. He said it's just a common stomach flu, nothing serious. If you have a problem with it, go ask the boss to switch seats. Why do you have to share an office with me?" Ji Yan was about to die of anger. Who doesn't know that the 4 of them sit together because they're on the same team? The project is already halfway through, and if you drop out now, you'll lose all the prize money from here on. Ji Yan shouted, "You're full of crap. How could this be just ordinary gastroenteritis? Do you take me for a fool? And what about your chest? Who, in good health, suddenly has more development in their 20s? Could something be wrong with your body?" Zhang Xiaowei thought for a moment and cast a suspicious look at her profound cleavage. "That's right, Wang Ying, you've been letting out stinky farts ever since your chest started growing." Wang Ying's face turned crimson instantly. Flustered, she covered her body and burst into tears. "So what if my farts stink a little? It's not my fault. Why does everyone keep saying these things about me?" Yan Xing pushed the door open and walked in at that very moment. The instant he stepped inside, he furrowed his brow tightly. then relaxed it as if nothing had happened. Looking at Wang Ying with concern, "Ying, you forgot your things. What's wrong? Who bullied you?" Wang Ying cried even harder, leaning against Yan Xing's chest, her voice straining into a thin line. "Darling Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei are cursing me out. I'm just going through a second growth spurt, but they keep calling me a vixen. They also say I've had surgery. They claim you only fell for me because of my figure. I don't believe you're that shallow." As for her bad breath, Wang Ying didn't mention a word. The moment Wang Ying leaned in, Yan Xing's expression twisted briefly, but then his eyes went wide at the sight of her abundant bounty. With strong willpower, he straightened up and didn't flee immediately. He glared at the two embarrassed individuals Wang Ying was pointing at. "For both of you, the most important thing is to do your own jobs well in the company. The company does not tolerate gossiping about colleagues. If this happens again, I'll have a word with old Zhang about it." Panic flashed in Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei's eyes. Yan Xing was the supervisor of the neighboring department and had no authority over them, but old Zhang, he mentioned, was the head of their own department, who did have the power to fire them. Hearing this, they could only swallow their anger and reply, "Yes, Manager Yan, we understand. We promise it won't happen again." Yan Xing finally let his gaze linger on Wang Ying for a few seconds, then reluctantly held his breath and left. Ji Yan forcefully kicked the seat aside and began working. Expressionlessly, Zhang Xiaowei also looked furious but forced herself to hold back. I calmly glanced at the curve in front of Wang Ying and recalled what the doctor had said in the previous life. "It's a good thing you took the advice and came in for the surgery. If you had waited another 2 months, she might have needed a full removal. Only half a month left. I go to work peacefully every day and leave work peacefully as well. The first thing I do after work is go home and take a shower to remove the strong perfume and stench clinging to me." In the midst of such a peaceful life, the company's 5th anniversary celebration arrives half a month later. Wang Ying's previous celebrations were always hosted by Zhang Xiaowei, who had been an MC during her school days, but this year, at the recommendation of Yan Xing and several senior executives, it became Wang Ying. Wang Ying had grown so arrogant that she no longer knew her place. Almost all the female colleagues looked at the radiant Wang Ying on stage with admiration or envy. Only I had a gloating smile at the corner of my mouth. When Wang Ying came down for a break, I hurriedly picked up my tray and greeted her. Roasted lamb chops, roasted black tiger prawns, spicy chicken, small cakes, cola. "Wang Ying, you must be hungry. Eat up quickly. Once you're on stage, you won't have a chance." Wang Ying stuffed food into her mouth and mumbled vaguely, "Thank you, Xin. You're so good to me." I pursed my lips to hold back a smile, watching her gently as she finished all the food on her plate. Before long, the previous performance came to an end. Wang Ying was about to take the stage. Several tables of people were seated in the audience, with company executives and leaders occupying the front row. Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei, sitting in the back row, kept their heads down, focused on eating. When others asked them about Wang Ying on stage, the two didn't even lift their heads, because if they looked up at Wang Ying, their good appetite for the night would be gone. The truth was, the harm Wang Ying had caused them was just too great. Just hearing Wang Ying's voice was enough to make a nauseating mix of sweet and foul smells flood their noses. They felt so disgusted that they couldn't even eat. On stage, Wang Ying was thrilled and proud, never expecting that the heavens had finally favored her, allowing her, at the age of 27, to suddenly grow a pair of big white rabbits. It also allowed her to rise to fame with those big white rabbits. Not only did she gain a handsome and romantic boyfriend, but she also became a celebrity at the company and the envy of all the other women. This was all what Wang Ying deserved. Yet not long after, she began to feel a dull ache in her two big assets. After just a few words, the pain grew increasingly intense. It seemed as if something was about to burst forth. Wang Ying sensed something was wrong. Though she didn't know why this was happening, she quickly sped up her speech. The leaders in the audience had been listening with great interest to this beautiful host, yet the other person's face gradually turned pink, and they spoke faster and faster. Though dissatisfied, they still did not show it. Only Yan Xing gave an awkward smile, cursing Wang Ying in his heart for being unreliable. Wang Ying suddenly let out a painful cry and collapsed onto the stage, curling up like a shrimp. Everyone was startled by the loud sound coming from the microphone. Then, confused, they all looked toward the stage. That glance was no small matter. A large amount of liquid suddenly seeped out from the white clothes of Wang Ying, who was lying on the ground, but what seeped out wasn't milky white, it was pale yellow. As the fluid seeped out more and more, Wang Ying gritted her teeth and lay on the cold table, her face as pale as paper. She was in so much pain that she didn't even have the strength to roll around. Her vision kept going white in waves, naturally. She didn't notice that her proud, full chest was gradually shrinking as the foul smelling fluid leaked out. Her chest felt cool, and where the breasts had been propped up, they now collapsed inward. Everyone stared in disbelief at this absurd scene. A gust of wind spread the foul stench. Ugh, holy crap, ugh, what is that smell? A few liters closer to the stage vomited right in public. The smell of fermenting liquor and vomit mingled with the stench of the sewer. The scene was filled with the constant sound of people vomiting. Everyone fled the venue in a panic. Some ran while vomiting, their sick trailing in long, stringy strands in the wind. People who had no idea what was happening saw so many people rushing out and thought there was a fire or something inside, so they joined in and ran as well. The entire venue descended into chaos. Someone called 120, and Wang Ying, who had already lost consciousness, was carried into an ambulance by a gagging medical worker. Only then did the smell at the scene gradually dissipate under the combined effect of numerous high-powered electric fans and the natural breeze. The marble floor was covered in vomit and half-eaten food. The server in charge of this shift broke down. Wang Ying felt utterly hopeless the moment she woke up. As usual, she reached to feel her softness, which was the source of her sense of security, but now, it was gone. It's all gone. Not only that, it's even flatter than before. My chest. The nurse rushed over hurriedly at her scream. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Take a deep breath, inhale. Exhale. Only when Wang Ying's emotions gradually calmed down did the nurse breathe a sigh of relief. The nurse picked up her medical records and began explaining her physical condition to Wang Ying. Because Ji Yan, Zhang Xiaowei, and I are all colleagues on the same team as Wang Ying this time, since Wang Ying was hospitalized, the company had the three of us visit her on the company's behalf. Wang Ying lay on the hospital bed, staring blankly toward the window, looking utterly despairing. When we knocked and came in, she didn't move at all, didn't even turn her head. The room had only the smell of disinfectant and that unique hospital odor, no trace of a sewer smell, nor any perfume. Zhang Xiaowei's heart softened. Such a lovely girl, after experiencing an oversized chest, had her entire breasts removed through surgery. It was only natural for her to feel sad. Wang Ying, we've come to see you. Are you feeling any better now? She spoke dryly, not knowing how to comfort her. Ji Yan saw that Wang Ying didn't react at all and let out a cold snort. We came all the way to see you out of kindness and brought you fruit, but your attitude is just too bad. We've been putting up with your stench for over 2 whole months. Do you have any idea how we've survived these past 2 months? Thankfully, it's all over now. She revealed a gratified and carefree smile, with an inexplicable hint of twistedness in it. Zhang Xiaowei, Ji Yan, stop talking. The calm depths of my eyes were tinged with a glint of gleeful madness. In the past life, after she had the surgery, she pinned an unsubstantiated crime on me, causing me to die without ever knowing why. This time, she had experienced Yan Xing's love, and now that she had lost her proud bust, Yan Xing would break up with her as well. How she will seek revenge in this life. I'm really looking forward to it. The second time we went to visit Wang Ying, we stood at the door, just in time to overhear her on the phone. Yan Xing, I just had a minor surgery. How dare you break up with me? I won't agree to it. How dare you say that about me? You said I'm the love of your life. Why? I won't agree, I won't agree, I won't agree. Zhang Xiaowei stood at the door. Maybe we should go first. Wang Ying seems to be arguing with someone. Ji Yan, carrying a bag of fruit, impatiently moved to push the door open. This bag is so heavy, let's just give it to her. Finish the task the company assigned, and leave. Who wants to stick around and listen to her drama? I quickly stopped her. We'll have to wait until Wang Ying finishes her phone call first. Just as we were speaking, Wang Ying, having finished her call, pulled open the hospital room door and gazed at us with a heavy expression. Why are you here again? Come to mock me once more? Zhang Xiaowei gave an awkward smile. We just arrived. We didn't mean to eavesdrop. It's okay, Wang Ying, you're so beautiful. What kind of man can't you find? Wang Ying repeated expressionlessly. I'm pretty. Ji Yan felt a bit soft-hearted seeing her somewhat desperate expression. Yeah, you're pretty and hard-working. What's past is past. Yan Xing broke up with you just because you had a surgery. That just shows he's not a good man. I added, get well soon. Everyone's waiting for you. Wang Ying, her face pale, listened to us comforting her, her eyes reddening as she lowered her head. Okay. The doctor said I'll be able to leave the hospital soon. I, of course, am not so kind-hearted as to comfort her. The reason he wanted her discharged early so she could return to work was because of the major incident that occurred during the company's recent anniversary celebration. Although Wang Ying was also a victim, she was the one who ruined the entire celebration. The company was furious, and while they didn't demote Wang Ying for humanitarian reasons, someone still had to take the fall. And that someone was the person who had recommended her, Yan Xing. He was fired. The day he got fired, many people were there, watching helplessly as Yan Xing walked out disheartenedly carrying a large box. I approached him. Manager Yan, Wang Ying is in the hospital, go see her when you have time, she misses you a lot. Upon hearing this name, Yan Xing's mouth twitched slightly, and then he became explosively angry, roaring at me, get lost, don't mention her name to me. I promptly got lost. Right before leaving, I heard him muttering to himself, Wang Ying, you got me fired, this isn't over. When you get out, I'm going to give you a big surprise. He. This guy seems to have turned vicious after losing his job. A week later, Wang Ying was discharged from the hospital. Yan Xingyan always kept his word, and sure enough, he gave Wang Ying a big gift after she was discharged from the hospital. On the afternoon of Wang Ying's first day back at work, a homeless-looking stranger suddenly appeared at the company's entrance with a large stack of papers. Then, all the papers flew and swirled in the air. Someone picked it up and looked. It turned out to be a photo of Wang Ying. And it was one of those revenge-style photos, not even black and white. It was in color. Every single photo was a different look, a different pose. The white rabbit was reflected obscenely on the glass, pressing down on the bedsheet, squeezed while lying on its side. Wang Ying, hearing the startled cries and ape-like howls outside, walked out with us without understanding what was happening. In an instant, all the malicious and lecherous gazes were fixed on Wang Ying. I picked up a piece of paper and, seeing Wang Ying in the photo, covered my mouth in shock. Wang Ying saw it too. Her face turned deathly pale in an instant. Crazy, he crawled on the ground to pick up the paper, shouting loudly, don't look, you're not allowed to look. During the police investigation, Yan Xing was quickly apprehended, sitting in the interrogation room wearing handcuffs. He still had a lewd look on his face, as if the previously polite and refined man had turned into someone else. Only I know, he has always been that kind of person. Those photos and videos, yes, I took them, just some fun between lovers, you all get it, right? I valued her so much, and yet she got me fired. I worked so hard to climb to the supervisor position. Do you know how difficult my promotion was? How can I still like her when her chest is so flat now? The photos weren't spread by me. What does it have to do with me? On what grounds are you detaining me? Wang Ying stood outside, hearing Yan Xing sitting inside with his legs crossed, saying demeaning things about her. She trembled all over with rage. Then, she turned and left without a word. After Yan Xing left the police station, with his hands in his pockets, he reverted to his former candid and gentle gentlemanly demeanor as he walked away. He didn't notice at all that a small, thin figure had followed him. That same day, Yan Xing was taken into surgery. 5 hours later, he was moved to the intensive care unit. Wang Ying was also taken to the hospital because her movements were too forceful. The wound on her chest reopened. Moreover, while grappling for a sharp weapon with the severely injured Yan Xing, she accidentally cut her arm. This time, Ji Yan, Zhang Xiaowei, and I brought the boss to the hospital. The boss took the fruit basket from my hands before entering the ward, then pushed the door open and went in. I excused myself to go to the restroom and did not go in. I secretly stood by the door and listened. Upon hearing the boss's greeting, Wang Ying hurriedly tried to get up from the bed. The boss quickly told her to rest well, but what he said next made Wang Ying's face gradually turn pale. Given what happened between you and Yan Xing, it has seriously affected the company's reputation, so, the company held a meeting. Wang Ying was fired. Now, forgetting the injuries on her arm and chest, she quickly sat up. Boss, what about the team project I haven't finished yet? And the bonus? Yes, the bonus was naturally out of Wang Ying's reach. She ruined the company's 5th anniversary celebration and, because of Yan Xing, damaged the company's image. Moreover, due to attempting to assassinate Yan Xing, she will be sent to prison once she is discharged from the hospital. The company can no longer keep someone like her. Wang Ying looked at Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei with a pleading gaze. Ji Yan, Xiaowei, we've worked together for so long, and you both know what kind of person I am. Please put in a good word for me. Ji Yan kicked him when he was down. Wang Ying, with what you've done, we can't protect you either. What normal person would pull a knife in public? You're about to end up in jail, so just behave yourself. Zhang Xiaowei added, yes, there's nothing we can do about it. this is a unanimous decision from the entire company, and of course I support the boss's decision. Wang Ying looked at the two of them in disbelief. In the previous life, when I asked them for help, they stood by and did nothing. Sure enough, it's the same in this life. Just as the boss was about to leave with the two of them, I arrived, in a hurry. Before I could even go inside, I left together with the boss. Before Wang Ying was discharged from the hospital, Yan Xing, having regained consciousness, took her to court. Furious, Wang Ying retaliated by hiring a lawyer and suing Yan Xing. The couple turned from lovers into enemies. Wang Ying also didn't let Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei off the hook. Just before being kicked out of the company's main group chat, she posted all the dirt she had on Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei. Although they were all minor incidents, it still caught the boss's attention. The project quickly reached its final stage. Ji Yan and Zhang Xiaowei had originally been in line for promotions, but because of Wang Ying's move, the boss dropped the idea of promoting them. After the project ended and I received my bonus, because of my achievements and friendly nature, I was recognized by the boss and got a promotion. As I sat down in my private office, I let out a deep breath, and the smile on my face came from genuine happiness. Indeed, a bright future was waiting for me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The enemy kidnapped my wife and arrogantly started a live stream to demand a ransom. Guyu, if you want to save your wife, bring out 1 billion, or else, with a slight curl of my lips, in front of the entire internet audience, I sent 100 rockets as tips in one go. Kidnapper, please kill her. On the third day of my wife's kidnapping, the kidnappers arrogantly started a live broadcast for the entire internet. In the live stream, Shen Mingxue lay pale and collapsed on the ground, with traces of blood still fresh on her palm. It matched the severed finger delivered by the courier an hour ago. On the computer screen in front of her, countless comments continued to scroll rapidly. Oh my god, a live-streamed kidnapping. Is this real or fake? It's probably just a publicity stunt. Who would dare to do something like that? These days, people will go to any lengths to become famous. I think it's fake too, but the scene looks way too realistic. Look at the blood on the ground. It really looks like human blood, but if this really is a kidnapping, then the kidnappers are far too bold. They actually dare to live stream it. This is practically a public provocation, showing no regard for the authorities at all. Watching the comments rapidly scrolling through the live stream, I tapped my fingers irregularly on the office desk, my expression calm as I silently counted down in my mind. 3, 2, 1. 3 breaths passed, and the office door was kicked open just as I had expected. My mother-in-law rushed anxiously to my side, her tone filled with accusation. Guyu, what on earth are you doing? Mingxue has been kidnapped. How can you still sit here so calmly? I asked back in a calm tone. It's not me who was kidnapped, so why should I be restless? Hearing my words, my mother-in-law looked utterly incredulous. Guyu, Mingxue is your wife. Now that she's been kidnapped, not only are you not helping, how can you even say such things? I glanced at my mother-in-law with a calm gaze, my tone tinged with sarcasm. What do you mean I didn't help? Didn't I help by calling the police? What else could I possibly do to help? My mother-in-law was taken aback, clearly not expecting me to counter her like that. Then besides calling the police, you can't just do nothing, can you? A mocking smile curled at the corner of my lips as I pointed at the computer screen. Aren't I watching the live stream right now? Since the kidnapper has taken Mingxue and started a live stream, they must want something. Before they get what they want, Mingxue is definitely safe. Why are you in such a hurry? Upon hearing this, the mother-in-law also snapped back to reality. Yes, son-in-law, I misunderstood you. Then let's quickly watch the live stream, ask the kidnapper what they want, and give it to them as soon as possible. Hearing my mother-in-law's impatient words, I curled the corner of my lips and nodded noncommittally. Just then, in the live broadcast, a masked man wearing a black hood shouted at the camera, Guyu, do you want to be a coward? Your wife is in my hands. Get out here now. Before I could even react, the live stream chat started scrolling again. Guyu. That name sounds familiar. Isn't the CEO of the Gu Group also named that? Could it really be him? Could it be that the kidnappers have taken the wife of the Gu Group CEO? That's just too unbelievable. That can't be real. I heard that because of some past incidents. Mrs. Gu always has 7 or 8 bodyguards with her whenever she appears. How could she possibly be kidnapped? This is definitely a publicity stunt. How could anyone dare to kidnap the wife of the Gu Group CEO? Aren't They afraid of offending the Goo group, and to brazenly live stream it like this, isn't that just asking for trouble? The masked robber, seeing these clueless comments questioning his authenticity, instantly flared up with anger. After securing the phone in place, he roughly grabbed the woman by her hair and yanked her up violently. The live stream immediately filled with heart-wrenching cries for help. "It hurts so much, husband. Save me." The next second, his wife Shin Mingshua's face suddenly appeared in the live broadcast. Her lips were purple, and her face was deathly pale, looking as if she had suffered inhuman torture. Seeing the ferocious appearance of the robbers, countless netizens belatedly realized that this was not a publicity stunt. Holy shit, this is actually real. It's a real kidnapping the wife of the Goo group and daring to broadcast it live to provoke them. How bold can you get? Kidnappings are either for money or for revenge. Now, with a live streamed kidnapping, what is the robber's goal? Seeing the flood of comments in the live stream, the kidnapper also took the opportunity to state his purpose. "I've long heard that the CEO of the Goo family and his wife are a harmonious and loving couple. This kidnapping is only for money, with no intention of harming anyone. I hope Mr. Goo can gather 1 billion within an hour, otherwise, you know the consequences." Hearing the kidnapper's words and seeing her daughter's miserable state in the footage, the mother-in-law felt heartbroken. "My poor daughter, Goo, you quickly come up with 10 billion to save my daughter." I quietly watched my mother-in-law, a mocking smile at the corner of my mouth, making no move. Seeing my indifference, my mother-in-law grew even more anxious. "Goo, what are you doing? The kidnappers have already made their demands. Hurry up and raise the money. There's only an hour left. Could it be that you don't want to save my daughter?" I shook my head. "Auntie, it's not that I don't want to save Mingxue, it's just that the kidnappers' demands are too high. That's a full $1 billion, and the company's liquid cash is only 60 million. If we want to gather a full billion, we might have to sell the entire company." The mother-in-law replied without hesitation. "Then you should quickly contact someone to sell the company." I shook my head and refused. "The company is my life's work. I could never sell it." My mother-in-law instantly panicked. "Then you won't save Mingxue? She's your wife." I smile. "A wife can be replaced, but if the company is gone, it's truly gone." Just then, my father-in-law burst through the door. "Mr. Goo, no matter what, this company was built with Mingxue by your side. How could you ignore her life and death for such a small profit? Are you even human?" I explained with a sincere expression. "Uncle, what do you mean by such a small profit? That's a full $1 billion. To be honest, even if your whole family were put together, you wouldn't be worth these 10 billion. You both know it hasn't been easy for me to build myself up from nothing to where I am today. I hope we can understand each other, but don't worry, I will fully cooperate with the police in handling the case. If Mingxue really meets with an accident, I will give her a lavish funeral and also take care of you in your old age." My indifferent words directly enraged my father-in-law and mother-in-law, and they rushed toward me like mad. Fortunately, I had specifically hired several bodyguards at a high price today, and they rushed in upon hearing the commotion to restrain the two. I sat with my legs crossed, watching the two being forced to half kneel on the ground, a playful smirk curling at the corner of my mouth. Just as I was about to say something, in the live stream, the kidnapper pretended to check his watch and shouted at the screen, "Mr. Goo, 10 minutes have passed, 10 billion, get ready, otherwise." The next moment after the words fell, the robber's knife was pressed against Shin Mingshue's neck. Shin Mingxue screamed in fright. Though frightened, Shin Mingxue put on a brave face. "Honey, can you hear me? Don't listen to him, don't try to save me. Even if I die here today, don't you dare sell the shares. I know the company is your life's work. I don't blame you, honey, I love you." Her voice was hoarse, tears welling up in her eyes. The live stream audience was deeply moved by this scene. They all say the CEO of Goo Corporation and his wife are incredibly loving, and now it really seems to be true. What a wonderful girl. Even in such a situation, she's still thinking of the other person. What about Mr. Goo? His wife is in this state. No matter what, he should come out and make a statement. My mother-in-law looked at the scene in the live stream, suddenly raised her head, and glared at me with a face full of resentment. "Goo, did you hear that? Even in her current state, my daughter is still thinking of you. Don't you think you're being too selfish?" Even after Mingxue said all that, you remain unmoved. Are you truly heartless? I raised an eyebrow slightly, a faint smile playing at the corner of my mouth. "Auntie, how can you say that about me? You heard it just now. It was your daughter who said not to save her. I'm very obedient to my wife, so let's not save her then." Hearing my rebellious words, my father-in-law was furious. You're simply a beast, that's your wife, and she's carrying your child. I sat with my legs crossed, watching the live stream with a carefree expression, casually giving it 2 likes. Seeing my lack of seriousness, my mother-in-law's tone was filled with heartache and disappointment. Guyu, how did you end up like this? Didn't you love Mingxua the most before? Even if you don't like her anymore, she is still your wife, and she loves you so much. How can you bear to stand by and watch her die? Loves me, I laughed self-deprecatingly. Looking at my pitiful wife on the live stream, I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Truly worthy of being an actress, her acting skills are really damn good. If I hadn't been reborn, I might have been fooled by this woman once again. Recalling my past life, a hint of crimson involuntarily surged in the depths of my eyes, and memories of the past flooded in like a tide. In my past life, it was also in the CEO's office. Upon hearing the news that my wife had been kidnapped, I was beside myself with anxiety. I am a first-generation entrepreneur, having fought my way up from the bottom. I should have been ruthless, but I love my wife deeply. She has been by my side, fighting alongside me from the very beginning. They say that those who love their wives will thrive, and I firmly believe it. So for the safety of my wife, I did my utmost to comply with the kidnapper's demands. But I'm not a fool either. I was just playing along while gathering information about the kidnappers. In the end, a small detail made me realize the identity of the kidnappers. Zhang Ming, president of Zhang Group. He and I are competitors, and we have shared a few meals together. During those meals, I noticed one of his habits. When he smokes, he holds the cigarette between his index and middle fingers, but he smokes with his fist clenched. The way the robber in front of him held his cigarette was exactly the same as Zhang Ming's. Very few people smoke in this manner, coupled with a similar build and a familiar voice. I'm sure he is that Zhang Ming. The moment I learned the identity of the bandit, my heart sank, because he and I are mortal enemies. There is a severe competitive relationship between his company and mine. We have been locked in a fierce battle, a state of life and death. We launched a business war that lasted for half a year. I won, enjoying a moment of unparalleled glory. His company went bankrupt, and he was left in dire straits. A person in such desperate straits is capable of anything. It wouldn't be surprising if he kidnapped my wife for revenge. Therefore, for the sake of my wife's safety, I suppressed some of my darker thoughts and tried to comply with Zhang Ming's demands as much as possible. Zhang Ming demanded a ransom of 10 billion from me, which was nearly the total value of all my assets. At that moment, I thought that a company could be rebuilt, but a wife, once lost, would be gone forever. I made the decision almost without hesitation. I had to save her, even if it meant losing everything. But actually, when Zhang Ming offered a price of 1 billion, I had already sensed something was off, because the total value of the Gu family stocks I hold, plus the sale of other assets, also amounts to roughly 1 billion. Only those closest to me know about my assets, so it's clear that this was premeditated. But at that time, my mind was completely occupied with my wife and that severed finger. And with my in-laws whispering in my ear, I had no choice but to hastily sell my company shares without giving it much thought. Since 10 billion is no small amount, the only way to gather that sum in half a day was to sell the stocks I held at a low price. Fortunately, by the end of the half day, I had successfully sold off all my assets, just barely managing to scrape together the 10 billion. I transferred the money to Zhang Ming. Zhang Ming also kept his promise and released his wife, Shen Mingxua. I wanted to comfort my wife properly, but I never expected that the first thing my wife did upon returning was to ask for a divorce. I told you not to sell the company. Why didn't you listen to me? You sold the company and have no money left. How are you going to support me? Let's just get a divorce. It was at this moment that I finally sensed something was off, but I still refused to believe it, questioning him hysterically. It wasn't until Zhang Ming stood before me with his arm around his wife, looking down at me, that I finally understood. From beginning to end, my wife had always loved Zhang Ming. The two of them had grown up together since childhood, and the reason she had gotten close to me was to steal company secrets and pave the way for Zhang Ming. But I never expected that my methods were so strong that even with a spy leaking secrets, I still came out on top in the business war. After Zhang Ming's failure, his wife stayed by my side, waiting for the right moment. Now, the kidnapping is nothing more than a long-planned scheme. I sold the company shares at a low price, and they arranged for people to quietly buy them up. When I transferred the 10 billion, they thought they had victory in the bag, dropped all pretense, and came to flaunt their triumph in front of me. My heart ached beyond measure, but I did not let it break me, because I never rely on a single plan. The 10 billion I transferred has long been under strict police surveillance, so there's no way they can take that money. My residence and various locations in the company are all equipped with pinhole cameras, so the scene of the two humiliating me was also recorded on audio and video. I submitted the evidence to the police, thinking everything would be settled. However, the police released the two without charge due to insufficient evidence, and my 1 billion in funds also vanished without a trace. The reason given by the police was that the other party had planned in advance. As soon as the funds were transferred, they were instantly converted into virtual currency and quickly transferred in batches to multiple accounts, rotated multiple times, and most recently flowed overseas, making the investigation unsuccessful. Hearing the police's explanation, I could only feel amused and heartbroken, leaving aside whether the funds could be successfully transferred under police surveillance. Even if the technology was so advanced that it couldn't be detected, couldn't they have frozen the funds before the transfer? Realizing something was wrong, I directly sued the police station in court. I never expected the police station would only send out an intern officer. They claimed it was an operational error. At this point, even if I were the most naive person, I could see what was happening: collusion between officials and businessmen. I refused to accept the verdict and appealed, only to be suppressed by a powerful force. From that day on, many thugs came to take care of me. I fought back, but ended up battered and bruised, suffering immensely. As I lay on the brink of death, Zhang Ming, with Shen Mingxue in his arms, looked down at me alongside a short, stout police officer. They told me everything. Even the child in Shen Mingxue's belly is not mine. I was furious, because Zhang Ming wanted to take revenge and humiliate me, and the way to get revenge on someone is to take everything from them. So, they didn't kill. Fortunately, they didn't kill me. That's why I have the chance to get revenge. They underestimated the ruthlessness and boldness of the first-generation entrepreneurs. After my body recovered, I barged into Zhang Ming's house with a knife. At that moment, the two were in the throes of passion. I tied them both to the bed and started a live stream. Just like when Shen Mingxue was kidnapped, I used the live stream to publicly name and summon the deputy director who had colluded with Zhang Ming. I openly declared the injustices I had suffered during this period in front of everyone. Seeing how emotionally unstable I was, a high-ranking official connected with me and urged me not to act impulsively, saying they could uphold justice for me. I smiled. Is justice that comes late still fucking justice? Without a moment's hesitation, I plunged the knife directly into the bureau chief's heart, twisting it 360 degrees. Justice, I will claim for myself. Everyone was stunned, never expecting that I would actually dare to kill. For a moment, they all froze in shock. Seizing this opportunity, I raised the knife and struck again. In the presence of countless live stream viewers, the heads of Zhang Ming and Shen Mingxue were severed one by one. The 3 heads were neatly stacked on the table by me. Countless netizens discussed and cursed me as cold-blooded, a demon, yet in my heart, I only felt a sense of relief. Due to the bloody content, the live stream was quickly banned. I walked over to the window, lit a cigarette, and took a drag. Before the special police outside the door could sense the situation and rush in, I had already leaped down. The wind howled fiercely. During the free fall, I asked myself in my heart, do you regret it? I think I probably do regret it. I regret not seeing Shen Mingxue for who she really is sooner. I regret giving my sincere feelings to the wrong person. I originally had a bright future, but now it's been ruined by these scumbags. As I was dying, I couldn't help but think how wonderful it would be if I could have another chance. I never expected that fate would actually give me that chance, allowing me to be reborn just before they started the live-streamed kidnapping. Thanks to these few days of advance preparation, I've made all the necessary arrangements. Make sure to give them a big surprise. Guyu, what are you standing there for? Do you really have the heart to watch Xiaoxue get killed? I didn't hesitate. I can't bear it. The mother-in-law and father-in-law were both delighted. Then why don't you hurry up and sell the company? I shook my head. They were puzzled. If you can't bear to see it, then why are you shaking your head? I curled my lips slightly and answered seriously, I do feel a bit reluctant, so I've decided not to watch it. With that, he turned the monitor screen away. Both of them were left utterly bewildered. After the confusion, came overwhelming fury. You bastard! The two tried to charge forward again but were firmly restrained by the bodyguards, and at that very moment, the robber's voice came through the live stream. Guyu, I know you're definitely watching the stream. Get the hell out here right now. I'll give you another hour and a half. Choose between your company and your wife. Halfway through his words, he suddenly thought of something amusing and couldn't help but let out a sinister chuckle. This way, I know 10 billion is important, but your wife is important too. Ordinary people find it difficult to make a choice. Then let me help you. For every 10 minutes you take to consider, I will cut off one of your wife's fingers, until all 9 of her remaining fingers are gone. This should be enough for you to see your own heart clearly and make a choice, Mr. Gu." Upon hearing the kidnapper's words, the parents-in-law trembled inwardly. I watched their feigned expressions of panic, a mocking smile curling at the corner of my lips. "I don't think you two need to worry too much. I believe Mingxue is blessed and will be fine." Hearing my words, my father-in-law was instantly enraged. "Gu, you beast, how could I have ever agreed to let Mingxue marry you back then?" I sneered. "Maybe you're just getting old and confused." "You," my father-in-law pointed at me, about to say something. A large group of police officers stormed into my company. They all wore somewhat gloomy expressions, with Officer Li at the forefront frowning deeply. "Mr. Gu, the kidnapper's IP address shows it's located abroad, and they've used multiple virtual positioning techniques, so we, the police, are currently unable to pinpoint the kidnapper's exact location. So for the safety of the hostages and to prevent your wife from being harmed, I suggest you first agree to the kidnapper's demands and then make further plans." Before I could react, my mother-in-law quickly stepped forward to agree. "Did you hear that? Even the police are suggesting you hand over the money. What are you hesitating for?" Officer Li gave me a meaningful look and said, "Mr. Gu, what do you think?" I smiled faintly and spoke without hesitation. "I refuse." Hearing my words, everyone in the office was utterly shocked. The father-in-law was even more furious. "Gu, Mingxue is your wife. Back when you had nothing, she decided she would marry no one but you. No matter how much we tried to dissuade her, it was useless. She loved you so much. This company was also founded with her by your side. Even if she hasn't made great contributions, she has put in hard work. How could you, for the sake of such trivial material possessions, bear to watch her die? Are you even human?" His tone was filled with grief and indignation, each word piercing to the heart, moving even the police, who had seen all the vicissitudes of life, to tears. "Mr. Gu, these are merely worldly possessions. How can your perspective be so narrow? In your eyes, can a human life truly be worth less than a bit of money?" "Yes, especially since that person is your wife, and she's carrying your child. For the sake of your marriage, just agree to the kidnapper's demands. Based on the clues we currently have, the kidnappers are most likely after money and don't intend to harm the hostages." So, listening to the back and forth between the police officers, a sarcastic smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Well, so you all get to play the good guys, and it's my fault if I don't pay up, huh? Did any of you ever consider how I feel? That's 10 billion we're talking about, so her life is a life, but my money isn't money. Is that it? I can always remarry if I lose my wife, but if the company is gone, it's truly gone. As soon as the words fell, my father-in-law angrily smashed a teacup, pointing at me with a furious expression. "What a sin! How could my daughter have married a beast like you?" The atmosphere at the scene was awkward, and everyone looked at me with disdain, but I remained calm and unperturbed, not caring in the slightest. Just then, a piercing scream suddenly echoed through the live stream. I turned back to the computer screen. In the scene, Zhang Ming holds a dagger, its blade still stained with blood, on the table. A severed finger lies bloodied, looking utterly horrifying. In the corner, the wife is curled up in a ball, her clothes soaked through with blood, having already fallen unconscious. 10 minutes, that was pretty quick. Witnessing such a bloody scene, I felt not the slightest discomfort. Instead, I lit a cigarette with great interest. "Mr. Gu, please agree to the kidnapper's demands immediately," the lead officer, Li, said with a grim expression. I took a casual drag of my cigarette and blew the second-hand smoke into Officer Li's face, taunting him. "I just don't understand. Did I order the kidnapper to abduct her? Why are you all gathered here instead of going after the robbers? Having fun, Officer Li. Instead of trying to persuade me, you'd be better off locating the robbers sooner." As I spoke, I even reached out, pretending to count on my fingers. 2 down, 8 to go, 80 minutes, you better hurry up." Seeing me act so unreliably, not only the young police officer but even some veteran detectives were furious. If they weren't wearing their uniforms and had body cameras on, they probably would have rushed over to beat me up right away. Feeling some murderous glares, I didn't care at all and continued to take it easy, puffing away at my cigarette. The indicator lights on the professional instrument kept flashing, yet it still couldn't pinpoint the exact location of the hijackers. Everyone present was as anxious as ants on a hot pan. In the live stream, Zhang Ming, seeing that I hadn't responded for a long time, began beating his wife again with punches and kicks. He kicked her while shouting and making threats. Hurry up and request a video call, get out here for me. The number of viewers in the live stream had unknowingly surpassed 1 million, with comments flooding the screen. Wait, where is the hostage's husband? Why hasn't he come out even after all this? 2 fingers have already been cut off, and he still hasn't shown up. I think he just doesn't want to save her. I think so too. After all, it's a full $1 billion. Who would be willing to exchange that for a life? Zhang Ming finished reading the barrage and spoke angrily. I'll give you 1 minute to connect immediately, or I'll kill the hostage right away. I felt a wave of helplessness. How can you go back on your word? We agreed on an hour and a half, and now there's only 1 minute left. Integrity is the most important thing in business. Breaking promises is a major taboo. Now that Zhang Ming has gone back on his word, it's no wonder he can't compete with me in the business world. 30, 29, 28. The countdown for Zhang Ming is gripping countless hearts, yet I remain unmoved. It was my mother-in-law who couldn't hold back first, rushing over to snatch my mouse and request a live stream connection. The connection was quickly established. Mr. Gu, it seems you still can't bear to part with your wife. Zhang Ming's tone was particularly smug. Don't worry. I'm only after money. As soon as the funds are transferred, I'll return her to you immediately. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, and countless police officers all looked at me with eager anticipation. Son-in-law, I beg you, please save Mingxue. She is your wife, after all. My mother-in-law suddenly knelt down on the ground. Seeing this unexpected scene and the sudden surge of negative comments in the live stream chat, I understood everything. This is an attempt to use public opinion to force me into submission, but those with a strong heart do not fear rumors and gossip. Therefore, I remain calm and composed. It was at this moment that Officer Li spoke up indignantly. Mr. Gu, even if you don't want to save your wife, she still has a child in her belly. The child is innocent after all. Right now, 2 lives hang in the balance, all depending on your decision. Upon hearing Officer Li's words, I swiveled my office chair and snapped my fingers. Bingo, I've been waiting for you to say that. As soon as the words left my mouth, under the puzzled gazes of everyone present, I pulled out the pre-prepared prenatal paternity test report from the drawer. Officer Li numbly took the report, flipping through it, growing more and more alarmed with each page, because the test results showed that the child had no blood relation to me whatsoever. What's going on? What does this mean? He asked, looking at me with a face full of shock and uncertainty. I, however, smiled and explained, as you can see, the child is not mine. With that, I turned to face the live stream audience, tears streaming down my face. A few days ago, someone told me my wife was having an affair. I already had evidence, but I couldn't bring myself to believe it, until this paternity test report was placed right in front of me. I instantly felt as if the entire world had come crashing down. I treated her so well, and she actually cheated on me. Why would I go bankrupt to save a woman like this? Is she worthy? Upon hearing my explanation, countless male viewers in the live stream resonated deeply and spoke up for me. So that's how it is. No wonder Mr. Gu is so cold-hearted. He was cheated on. Damn, Shen Mingxue is really ungrateful. Mr. Gu is so handsome, young, and wealthy, yet she still cheated on him. That kind of cheating scum woman, she deserves to die. Many comments in the live stream spoke up for me, but there were also plenty of negative remarks. No, even if cheating is wrong, it doesn't deserve death. Gu isn't as great as you all say. If he were really that good, why would Mrs. Shen cheat? Looking at the comments, my hot temper flared up, and I immediately started arguing with that person. What the hell are you calling your mom? You dare to bark with only 8 digits in your bank account. So emotional infidelity isn't the other person's fault. It's all because I'm not good enough, right? I think you're just out of your mind, with your left brain wrapped around your right brain. It takes years of brain thrombosis to come up with that nonsense. Watching me passionately argue without even acknowledging him, Zhang Ming snapped and chopped off another one of his wife's fingers. Damn it, do you think I don't exist? Blood splattered, and a scream like a pig being slaughtered instantly echoed through the live stream. Countless people were moved. At that moment, both the mother-in-law and father-in-law knelt on the ground. Son-in-law, it was Mingxue's fault. Please, save her and sell the company. Don't worry, once you bring her back, we will definitely bring her to you to apologize and make amends. Officer Li looked at me with a complicated expression, hesitating for a moment before also offering advice. Brother, cheating is wrong, but lives are at stake. Please set aside your prejudice and sell the company. Don't worry, the police will closely monitor your money. There won't be any issues. listening to Officer Lee's words, the sneer on my lips grew more pronounced. In my past life, it was because I believed his words that I made the decision. Result, this money was not obtained by Zhang Ming, but was instead taken by the police. Son-in-law, please sell the company. Okay. My mother-in-law knelt on the ground, begging me. I said without a second thought, sure, I'll sell it. You. My father-in-law was about to curse at me when he suddenly heard my words and froze. Really? I nodded. Then, my brow furrowed, seeing the change in my expression. My father-in-law felt both joy and worry. Son-in-law, what's wrong? I spoke up. Father-in-law, 10 billion is no small sum. Even if I were willing to sell shares, it couldn't happen this quickly. Hearing my explanation, my father-in-law and mother-in-law exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming with shrewdness. Son-in-law, don't worry, I happen to have relatives who are interested in buying company shares. With that, he took out his phone and made a call. Soon, a pot-bellied, bald middle-aged man arrived, carrying the equity acquisition documents. Seeing how impatient they were, I couldn't help but sigh, wondering why I hadn't noticed their intentions in my previous life. From the moment I agreed to sell the company, to my father-in-law making the call, to the middle-aged man's arrival, the whole process took only about 10 minutes. If that's not premeditated, what is? It's a pity that in my previous life, my thoughts were disrupted by my wife's kidnapping, which is why I didn't notice. I picked up the equity acquisition agreement, and just as everyone thought I was about to pick up a pen and sign it, I tore it into pieces. What are you doing? Boss Wang was somewhat angry. I spoke up. I hold 51% of the shares in Gu Corporation, with a value of at least 1 billion. Now you want to acquire it for 900 million. Dream on, Boss Wang explained. Mr. Gu, this is an urgent acquisition, so naturally, the equity has to be sold at a low price. Right now, you're in a hurry for money, and besides me, almost no one is willing, or rather, no one can come up with this much cash flow to buy a company. I looked at the person before me with a sneer. Did he think he could control me like this? But I am not the person I was in my previous life. I nodded. You're right. In that case, I won't sell it. Hearing my words, Boss Wang became anxious, the police became anxious, my in-laws also became anxious. Why did you suddenly decide not to sell it again? They quickly stepped in to mediate. Seeing my resolute attitude and knowing that I had only agreed to sell out of compromise, my mother-in-law also made up her mind and gave my father-in-law a look. My father-in-law understood immediately and quickly took Mr. Wang's hand, saying something to him. In any case, Mr. Wang soon gave in as well, immediately arranged for lawyers to prepare a contract for 1 billion. I stopped them. Why? They asked. I replied, I want 2 billion. Everyone was shocked once again. There was another round of arguing. In the end, they still compromised. A 2 billion equity transfer agreement was placed before me. I signed without hesitation. The money arrived quickly as well. Seeing the information on the bank card, a strange curve lifted at the corner of my mouth. Mother-in-law, son-in-law, the money has arrived. Hurry up and transfer it over. Officer Lee also spoke softly. Mr. Gu, don't worry, his account has been locked by us, and your money will be safe. I looked at the two of them, a slight smile curling at the corner of my lips, but I said nothing. It was Zhang Ming, in the live stream, who broke the silence first. Mr. Gu, I heard you sold your shares for 2 billion. I've changed my mind. I want 2 billion, since the money has already been transferred. Hurry up and send it over. As he spoke, he glanced at his watch. You have half an hour. If the 2 billion isn't in my account by then, I'll kill the hostage immediately. I leaned back lazily in my boss chair, watching the person on the screen with a relaxed gaze. Not in a hurry. Big brother kidnapper, do you know the 3 great joys in life? Zhang Ming was taken aback. What are they? I smiled, unable to hide the excitement in my tone. Of course, it's about getting promoted, making a fortune, and having the wife die. Everyone was shocked by my words, staring at me in a daze, unsure of what I intended to do. Upon hearing this, Zhang Ming grew even angrier. What exactly do you mean? Don't you want to save your wife anymore? Just as everyone thought I would choose to transfer the money for my wife's sake, my actions left them utterly stunned. I smiled, moved the mouse to the gift section, select quantity *100, click. The next moment, witnessed by countless live stream viewers, 100 rocket special effects soared into the sky, instantly dominating the entire live stream screen. Congratulations to Love My Wife to Death for sending 100 super rockets. User level has been upgraded to 51. Kidnapper Bro. Please tear up the ticket." As my delighted words fell, countless viewers were dumbfounded, the in-laws were dumbfounded, the police officers were dumbfounded, Zhang Ming was dumbfounded, the wife, curled up in a ball, was also stunned. They all turned their heads, looking at me with blank expressions. Not an old friend, no mistake, right? Tear up the ticket. I turned on the camera, yawned, and spoke in a lazy tone. Stop dawdling, just tear up the ticket already. I'm getting a bit sleepy. Hearing such rebellious words from me, the kidnapper was shocked. Damn, this is simply not taking him seriously at all. He grabbed the nearby machete and swung it straight at Shen Mingshua's wrist. In the next instant, blood splattered, and the palm was severed from the wrist. Countless people watched this scene in horror, then turned their gaze toward me. No one expected that I sold the company not to save my wife, but to send gifts and tear up the ransom note. Guyu, you beast, you killed my daughter, I'm going to kill you. My mother-in-law grabbed the fruit knife from the coffee table and lunged at me. I didn't pay any attention. Just reclined lazily with my feet propped up on the table. Looking completely at ease. Auntie, please calm down. It was Officer Lee who reacted first, speaking up to advise her, but he only offered advice and didn't make any move to physically stop her. But I didn't care, because I didn't need him to do anything. Just as my mother-in-law lunged forward, the female bodyguard beside me took action. She reached out and grabbed her wrist, giving it a sharp twist. With a loud crack, the knife clattered to the ground. The bodyguard caught the knife with his other hand, then made no further moves. Stepping back to my side, I picked up an apple from the table and threw it at him. The bodyguard, quick on the uptake, used the knife he had just taken to peel the apple for me. My mother-in-law, her eyes bloodshot, roared at me. You not only stood by and did nothing, but why did you have to provoke the kidnappers? I crossed my legs, opened my mouth to accept the apple handed to me by the bodyguard, and chewed. Very sweet. Seeing my utterly clueless attitude, the young police officers were furious and rushed toward me. Guyu, your wife is pregnant with a child, 2 lives, and you've just condemned them to death with a single sentence. You must take responsibility for this. I've never seen such a heartless person in my life. Even if it costs me this police uniform, I'm going to teach you a lesson today. Guyu, you disregard life and the law. Today, I will represent the law and bring you to justice. For a moment, the crowd was filled with righteous indignation, watching the police officers charging toward me. My gaze also turned cold. I just don't get it. Is the child in her belly mine? Why should I be held responsible? What do you mean they were killed because of something I said? Did I order her kidnapping? Did I kill her? And what do you mean by saying I disregard the law? May I ask, which of my actions violated the law? Did I commit murder or arson? Or is it illegal to send gifts during a live stream? As police officers, instead of focusing on how to find the kidnapper and bring him to justice, you come to trouble me, a victim's family member. Are you out of your minds? And besides, who do you think you are? Do you even have the right to represent the law and punish me? My words immediately left those officers speechless. Right, I was just sending gifts, not breaking any laws. Their behavior was indeed inappropriate. But young people are full of vigor and passion. At this moment, the arrow is already on the bowstring and must be fired. They clenched their fists and swung at me. I couldn't help but sneer. A bunch of idiots, can't find the real culprit, so you come to mess with me, just a bunch of cowards who only dare to act tough among yourselves. My words only angered them further, and their attacks grew even more fierce, but I still didn't move, because the bodyguards beside me moved. In a flash, they subdued those young police officers. The officers struggled continuously, but it was to no avail. Their hearts were filled with shock. As criminal police officers, they had all undergone rigorous training. They never expected to be subdued so easily. These bodyguards were definitely not ordinary. I wasn't the least bit surprised by this scene. After all, these bodyguards are mercenaries I hired from the dark web at a high price. They can't be compared to the police at all. Let me go. This is assaulting an officer. I paid no attention to the wailing police officers, my gaze piercing through the crowd to look at my father-in-law sitting on the sofa. Father-in-law, your daughter's hand has been chopped off. How come you're not the least bit sad? Upon hearing this, my father-in-law's mouth twitched. The kidnapping was all part of his carefully planned scheme, so why would he be concerned about her safety? He had been silent just now, only because he felt things were getting out of control and was thinking of a countermeasure. But seeing me speak like this, he still pretended to be heartbroken. What else can I say? What can I do? Hearing the helpless words of the father-in-law, the live stream audience, who had initially sided with me because of my words, frowned. What's going on? It was clearly him who instigated the kidnappers to kill the hostage. now that things have come to this, not only does he show no remorse, but he also asks the victim's father why he isn't grieving. Isn't this just rubbing salt in the wound? Yeah, I actually felt sorry for him for being cheated on at first, but now it seems like he deserved everything that happened. Watching the surge of comments in the live stream and the rising viewer count, I looked at my in-laws with a mocking glint in my eyes. Alright, you two can stop acting now, you may not be tired, but I am. Here, have a slice of apple and take a break. As I spoke, I handed the apple that the bodyguard had just peeled to the two of them. What do you mean? Upon hearing my words, everyone, including Officer Lee, stopped what they were doing and looked at me with confusion. Only my in-laws, standing to the side, avoided eye contact. Clearly feeling somewhat guilty, I curled my lips into a smile and pointed at the two of them. I want to say that this kidnapping was planned by both of them. Do you believe me? As soon as I finished speaking, my mother-in-law immediately retorted, bullshit, everyone saw the bloody scene in the live stream. How could it possibly be fake? Besides, why would we plan this kidnapping in the first place? Hearing my mother-in-law still stubbornly refusing to admit it, I really didn't want to keep playing along with their act anymore, so I took out the USB drive I had prepared in advance and played a video from it. In the video, my wife Shen Mingxue, the kidnapper Zhang Ming, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law were sitting together, whispering and plotting. Father-in-law, Zhang Ming, when the time comes, find a dimly lit place, start a live stream, and force Gu Yu to hand over 1 billion. If he hesitates, take out the prop you prepared and cut off Mingxue's hand. Zhang Ming hesitated a bit. I've dealt with Gu Yu before, he's very clever. Will this really work? Won't he see through it? The mother-in-law smiled and said, Xiao Ming, don't worry about that. Gu Yu loves Mingxue so much that he'll definitely panic in this kind of situation. Plus, with us whispering in his ear, he's sure to comply. The wife added, that's right, Gu Yu loves me so much. He definitely won't just stand by and do nothing. If it really comes to it, I can just act a bit more pitiful. The most crucial issue now is how to safely transfer these 10 billion yuan. After all, it's not a small amount, and the police are bound to pay attention to this matter. Zhang Ming smiled and said, leave this matter to me. I still have some connections up there. When the time comes, we'll share a few dozen percentage points of the profits we get, and everything will be fine. Even if Gu Yu eventually realizes something is wrong and reports it to the police, those above who have taken our benefits will help cover it up. The people don't fight with the officials. Besides, by then, Gu Yu will have already handed over all the money and be penniless. What could he possibly use to fight us? Upon hearing this, the four exchanged smiles and raised their glasses in a toast to celebrate in advance. Seeing this video, the father-in-law looked terrified. You, how do you have this video? He turned to the police officer, whose expression had changed. No. This video is fake. It's been edited. I toyed with the USB drive in my hand, my tone dripping with sarcasm. Even now, you still want to deceive yourself. It's over. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law felt as if the sky had fallen, collapsing to the ground. After all, plotting to kidnap and seize someone else's property is illegal. She doesn't want to go to jail, and the only one who can save her now is me. If I don't pursue the matter, then everything will be fine. Therefore, she quickly knelt before me and pleaded tearfully, I'm sorry, son-in-law, we were momentarily blinded by greed. We were wrong. You see, we haven't caused you any real harm either. We're family. Can you forgive us and let it go? Watching the two of them humbly begging for mercy, the sneer on my lips grew even more pronounced. You don't realize you were wrong. You just know you're going to jail. No, that's not it. The two of them crawled over from either side, trying to beg for my forgiveness. I kicked them both, sending them tumbling to the ground. Get lost. Don't come near me. Just as I was teaching the two a lesson, the direction of the live stream gradually changed. Damn, I actually felt sorry for this family earlier and spoke up for them. I never expected this was all part of their plan to seize Mr. Gu's company. That's just disgusting. Exactly. This family is really despicable. Fortunately, Mr. Gu is smart. Otherwise these people would have succeeded. Mr. Gu, we're sorry, we misunderstood you earlier. I ignored the barrage of comments flooding the live stream and pointed at Zhang Ming in the video, addressing the police. That's the kidnapper from the live stream, Zhang Ming. His previous Zhang group was in competition with my Gu group. After I drove him to bankruptcy, he became determined to seek revenge on me. My wife, Shen Mingxue, grew up with him since childhood, so the two of them joined forces, aiming to seize my company, and as you can see, Zhang Ming said he has connections above. Once I transfer the money, that 10 billion will be divided among them, so, how could I dare to do that? Upon hearing my account, some police officers who were aware of the inside story couldn't sit still. Kid, do you have any idea what you're saying? We police officers serve the people. How could we possibly engage in activities that exploit the public's interests? Do you believe I'll arrest you right now? I shrugged. Appearances can be deceiving. I just mentioned it casually, so why are you getting so worked up? The police officer wanted to get angry, but remembering that the live stream was still ongoing, he had no choice but to hold back. Upon hearing the conversation between me, the police, and my in-laws, the atmosphere in the live stream suddenly shifted. Watching the barrage of comments in the live stream, all uniformly condemning him, Zhang Ming pretended to panic. I'm not Zhang Ming, I'm a robber, you've got the wrong person. No, Zhang Ming, stop pretending, you just want to take revenge on Mr. Gu and seize his company, right? The video is right here, so what are you still acting for? You dare to do it but not own up to it, so you're not a robber, then why don't you really try to cut someone? Zhang Ming steeled his heart, pulled Shen Mingshui out from the corner, and placed her hand on the table. Seeing the perfectly intact hand, the audience became even more convinced that this was a self-directed performance by the group, and their anger grew even stronger. If you have the guts, hurry up and chop, stop dawdling. Seeing the comment, Zhang Ming didn't hesitate. Right in front of the live stream audience, he actually chopped off Shen Mingshui's hand with a single stroke. Help me, this time it's real. Unlike the previous pig slaughter-like screams, this time, the voice seemed even more miserable and plaintive, as if a hand had truly been chopped off. Although the live stream audience witnessed this scene with their own eyes, they were already predisposed to believe it was a deception. Coupled with the fact that fingers had already been chopped off before, they all thought it was just a disguise, a prop, so no one thought of it at all. This might actually be true. What are you pretending for? The truth is already out in the open. Is there any need to keep up the act? Don't even mention it. It's quite realistic. In that case, let's chop off the other hand as well. Zhang Ming didn't hesitate either, and with another slash, he chopped off the other hand. Shen Mingshui was directly knocked unconscious by the pain. Watching this scene, the corners of my mouth almost stretched to the back of my ears. I turned the screen toward my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Take a good look at your daughter now. You might not see her again in the future. What do you mean? My in-laws looked puzzled. I stood up, gazing out the window with a profound look in my eyes. Yet my tone was sarcastic, exactly what I said. Hearing my words, the two of them grew even more confused. Haven't I already known that this kidnapping is just a scam? Why would I say that? Could it be? They looked at the two large hands in the live broadcast, then shook their heads again. Impossible. How could Zhang Ming possibly do such a thing? This must be fake. I didn't explain any further. The live stream was quickly banned due to its graphic content. Both my mother-in-law and father-in-law were taken away for investigation. Officer Lee still wanted to take me away on charges of assaulting a police officer. Joke, the bodyguard did it. What does it have to do with me? But in the end, I still made a trip to the police station, for no other reason, just to sign the letter of understanding from my in-laws. After all, I said it, I will take care of them in their old age and see them off to their final rest. How can I go back on my word? Mr. Gu, are you sure you want to sign the letter of understanding? I nodded. My father-in-law and mother-in-law both looked at me in astonishment. They had already prepared themselves for a heavy loss and never expected that I would forgive them so easily. But, I have one more condition. I can let this go for now, but I reserve the right to revisit this matter. After all, with this incident in the past, I can't feel at ease if anything happens in the future. My father-in-law and mother-in-law's expressions turned grim. This move of mine effectively held their weakness in my grasp. I am not satisfied, and I can sue them at any time, sending them to jail. However, they have no other choice. Otherwise, they will be sent in right now, so they can only agree. Seeing me sign the letter of understanding, the police officer involved couldn't help but praise. Mr. Gu, you truly have a broad perspective. If I were treated like that, I might not forgive so easily. I smiled. I am not a magnanimous person. I forgave them only because they are Mingshui's parents, but I will not forgive Zhang Ming. Do you understand? The officer, understood. We are doing our utmost to locate his whereabouts and will not let such a societal scum go unpunished. But Mr. Gu, since you knew about their plan in advance, do you know where he is? Hearing this, I raised my wrist, glanced at my watch, and the corners of my lips lifted. Zhang Ming, of course I knew, by my calculations. He should have reached international waters by now. International waters, a dilapidated fishing boat. Shen Mingxue slowly woke up in bed. Upon waking, she only felt the emptiness in her sleeves. Moreover, a sharp pain shot through her wrist. Looking at the man wearing a hood in front of her, she instantly recalled what had happened earlier. No, no, you're not Zhang Ming. Who are you? Her voice was filled with terror. Upon hearing this, the hooded man removed his hood, revealing a face marred by a large, menacing scar. I am indeed not the one you mentioned. Looking at the man before her, Shen Mingxue was filled with terror. Who exactly are you? Why are you doing this to me? Where is Zhang Ming? Where have you taken him? The scarred man clapped his hands. Outside the cabin, a wriggling sack was thrown in. Once opened, Zhang Ming was lying inside, unmistakably. Zhang Ming, Zhang Ming, Shen Mingxue kept shouting. The scar-faced man found it too noisy and slapped her. Shut up for me. He's not dead yet. Shen Mingxue covered her swollen face with her arm, her eyes filled with hatred. We have no grudge between us. Why are you doing this? The scar-faced man spoke in a calm tone. We're just doing our job for the money. Shen Mingxue was startled. Who sent you here? This time, the scar-faced man didn't answer. He stood up and looked toward the cabin door. The other men in the cabin also looked respectfully toward the cabin door. Boss, boss, under the watchful eyes of the mercenaries, I, dressed in an elegant white suit, stepped into Shen Mingxue's line of sight. Seeing my arrival, Shen Mingxue grew even more terrified. It's you, was all of this you're doing? A smile played at the corner of my lips. What of it, Dream Snow? You seem quite surprised to see me. Shen Mingxue suppressed her heartache and fear, forcing out a strained smile. How could that be, dear? I'm overjoyed to see you. Honey, I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I said sarcastically. What do you think? Sensing the undisguised chill in my words, Shen Mingxue's heart sank. Husband, I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me, not just for my sake, but for the sake of our child in my belly. It's fine if Shen Mingxue doesn't mention this, but as soon as she does, the cold gleam in my eyes intensifies. I grab her hair. Damn bitch, is the child in your belly even mine for you to be calling me that? Shen Mingxue looked at me with a face full of shock. How could you possibly know? Seeing Shen Mingxue's unusual reaction, my tone carried a hint of suspicion. You've been reborn. Shen Mingxue's heart trembled upon hearing this. You too. Hearing Shen Mingxue's words, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Reborn, how wonderful. Reborn, wouldn't it be even more satisfying for me to take revenge? I pointed at Zhang Ming, who lay beside me like a dead dog, and kicked the dagger in my hand toward her. Only one of you two can live. Kill him, or kill yourself. Shen Mingxue held the dagger. Trembling, she tried with the dagger many times, but could never bring herself to do it. In the end, she threw the dagger away and collapsed to the ground. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I beg you, please let both of us go. I picked up the dagger and, without a moment's hesitation, plunged it into Shen Mingxue's heart. 360-degree twist. Just like in my previous life, blood splattered on my white suit. I leaned down and whispered in her ear. Do you think I'm playing house with you? I said either he dies, or you die, since you can't bring yourself to do it. I'll help you. Shen Mingxue's eyes widened in shock, clearly not expecting me to be so decisive. Blood kept spilling from her mouth, and then she fell straight backward. Zhang Ming stared at this scene with a face full of fear, his lips trembling. Guyu, killing is against the law. I took the handkerchief handed to me by the scar-faced man and wiped the bloodstains from the side of my face, placing the dagger I had just used to kill into Zhang Ming's hand. I spoke with a smile. Wasn't it you who killed the person? Zhang Ming was greatly shocked. You want to frame me? I chuckled softly. Everyone knows it was you who kidnapped my wife. If you didn't kill her, then who did? Me. Zhang Ming pointed at me angrily. You're nothing but a devil. I smiled faintly. Thank you for the compliment. In the end, I still didn't kill him, not only because I needed a scapegoat, but also because he once said that the cruelest way to take revenge on someone is to take away everything they have. But I am naturally cautious, so I cut out his tongue, severed the tendons in his hands and feet. After doing all this, I looked down at my wife's body at my feet with a look of regret. I didn't originally intend to kill her this early. It's just that her corpse is somewhat useful, so I had no choice but to bring her body back home overnight. And I mobilized countless media outlets to create a buzz, because public opinion was already heated, and with the wife actually dead, it instantly surged to the top of the hot search list. Zhang Ming immediately became the prime suspect, but I have locked him away in a place where no one could possibly find him, so the murderer in this case can only be him. July 7th was originally the day I had set to marry Shinming Xue. I had promised to hold a wedding for her that would capture the world's attention. I had also promised to hold the most extravagant funeral for him. Thus, I seamlessly changed the wedding into a funeral. At the funeral, I wept bitterly, and everyone was moved by my devotion. Shinming Xue and I had not divorced, and with the funeral matter, I inherited her estate even more justifiably, including 20% of the Gu family's shares. My in-laws rushed out to stop me, but I produced the previous letter of understanding and waiver of prosecution. In the end, they had no choice but to give up. Why am I so determined to get that 20% stake? Because I want revenge, not just against Shinming Xue and Zhang Ming, and that powerful figure from the previous life who could cover the sky with one hand. And getting back at him was quite simple. He spent money to hire someone to buy 51% of the Gu family's shares for me. He is the true behind-the-scenes major shareholder. But how could a bureau chief come up with over $1 billion in cash? Even if it were embezzlement, it couldn't possibly amount to that much, so there's only one answer: misappropriation of public funds. They originally planned to quickly transfer the money once I sent it over, then put the money back to fill the deficit. This way, they can take my company for nothing. But this time, I didn't let him have his way. Not only did they pay a higher price, but they also successfully locked up the public funds. To avoid being discovered, they must come up with these $1-2 billion as soon as possible, and the purchase Gu Corporation is their last hope. But how could I possibly let them have their way? I am the founder of Gu Corporation, and I hold all its secrets and scandals. I didn't hesitate and exposed all the blackmail material. In an instant, the Gu family's company was hit by a scandal, and its stock price plummeted. As the second largest shareholder, having inherited 20% of the shares, I didn't hesitate and immediately sold the stocks at a low price. Because my volume was huge, it instantly caused market panic, and retail investors rushed to sell, causing the company's stock price to plummet even further. That big shot's $12 billion instantly shrank by half. Although I also lost a lot, I'm very happy, because the gap from the embezzled public funds can't be filled anymore. I haven't been idle either. Using the hired hacker, I collected that director's dirty secrets: tax evasion, tax fraud, embezzlement, bribery, unfair competition. It was then compiled and sent to his opponent. Soon after, that bureau chief fell from power and was sent to prison. Due to the severity of the circumstances, he was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve, but I didn't intend to let him off so easily. I spent some money to hire people to humiliate him in prison from time to time. Once or twice was fine, but after more than a dozen times, he couldn't hold back and fought back. Upon learning that he had taken action, I smiled. If it were an ordinary prisoner, a mere fight would be one thing, but that warden is different. He is on death row with a reprieve. Once you take action, a suspended death sentence turns into an execution. So, under my manipulation, he was shot within less than half a year. I was quite satisfied with this outcome. After dealing with the director, it was naturally time for my 2 lovely in-laws. First, I spent money to bring down the Shin family. Then, I sent people to bring them to the Golden Triangle. My in-laws looked terrified. Son-in-law, what on earth do you want? I curled my lips into a smile, holding a blade, and spoke word by word. I've said it before, haven't I? Of course, it's to take care of you in your old age and see you off. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.